Hi everyone, thank you once again for tuning in. Today I've had a question from a viewer about the lead arm in transition and how we can match up the arms with the body in that transition phase so we're in a better position in the delivery position. So hopefully you'll find something here to help you with your game. Before going into today's topic, if you enjoyed this video and if you're enjoying the channel, please remember to hit subscribe. Also, if you ever want some personalized feedback on your own game, go to ianmellorgolf.com and you can contact me through the website. So the pattern that I was asked about was from the top of backswing, the player was getting their lead arm quite a way pushed away from them in front of them, and they were finding it hard to match up their arms to get into a good spot moving into the delivery position. It's quite a common pattern that I see and often leads back to how the players moved through backswing. There may be a little bit of cleanup to do around the transition, but essentially what I see is a player get into the position at the top of backswing where they're so stretched across their lead shoulder that when they go to transition, everything gets pulled very fixed, very together. And if I show you that down the line, so I'm really stretched across the lead shoulder here. If I go to then move into downswing with starting with the lower body first, it still has that appearance of a really dominant upper body move. And it's literally just, I've maxed out all my stretch on the way back. So when I go to do that nice separation, achieve that nice separation in transition that we're wanting, where from the top, the lower body would go and the upper body would wait a little bit, the player's just unable to do so. So first of all, let's look at what we could do to make sure that we're not getting fully maxing out that stretch across that lead shoulder on the way back. So often it comes from, in the start of the swing, the player not rotating very much with their rib cage. So I'm going to stay quite still with my torso here, and I'm going to allow the arms to move away from me. And often, even if they move behind, it's even worse, because at this point here I can feel a really big stretch across this lead shoulder here to the point where I'm maxed out almost. And then as I go to the top, I'm stretching even more. And at this point here, I can tell if I go to transition, I'm definitely incentivized to actually throw it out that way. So the body's just left with not many other options. So when you go into downswing, it's actually going to move out in front. So what we need to do, as I mentioned, it's not allowing the rib cage to rotate and keeping the arm matched up in a position where we can support the club nice, but we've also got some leeway from a stretch standpoint so that when the lower body goes, we get that nice lag between the lower body and the upper body in the transition phase. So you saw me do it there, making that little L once again. It's one of my favorites for the backswing, making sure the rib cage, or just as a good reference for when the rib cage rotates, keeping the arm matched up as well in backswing. A player that typically has been moving the hands and arms pretty dominant in the start, if you add the rotation, then the hands and arms are really deep. So it's really nice to have a reference point for matching up the hands, the arms, the club on the way back so they're all matched up. And then for this particular feel, making sure the rib cage rotates more in the start, I'll do a lot of wedge work with players. It gives them that chance at a lower speed to match up the arms and the body. And it also, what I really like about wedges is because it's a shorter swing, you actually have less time from the top of backswing to the ball to create a compensation. So you actually have to move better. So with players, we'll do a lot of rehearsals away from the ball, matching up the hands and the arms with that rotation. In the mirror, potentially, if the mirror is behind us there, I'll reference how much of the badge or crest typically on the shirt the player can see there in the mirror. That'll be one reference, how much of just the chest in general and the body in general. And to them, they'll reference it feels like they've really turned their body facing behind them early in the swing. And then when they move to the top, it'll feel, the sense is that they're just not fully maxed out that stretch there. They've got good support of the club, and from there they can create that stretch. So let's look at, with the wedges, if we move to there, there's nice rotation. You can see a lot of my torso there in the mirror, arms matched up nicely, and just a lot of shots where you're moving nice and slow. It's going to feel as though your torso is rotating a lot more, and then just chip some shots out there. You don't actually have to focus on hitting a particular shot. Just focus on the movement and getting comfortable with the body rotating more in the start and where the arms need to be to match up. For a player that's been for a player that when they rotate, the arms almost want to go there, it's going to feel like a big shift. It's going to feel like the club and the arms are way more out in front than they used to be. So just going at that slow pace and just pitching some shots out there with a focus on smooth movement is just going to allow them to not have to be too connected to contact, target. It's going to allow them to actually make that evolution in the movement. Okay, so once you've got that early rotation worked out and you can get to the top of backswing and you feel as though you can then move into transition and improve that transition phase there, I'm just going to go one simple cue today for transition. Is typically from the top of backswing, the player's pattern we're looking at, it'd be quite dominant because everything would be quite fixed. Now we can move a little bit more, let's say, in better sequence from the top of backswing. I'm just going to say that from the top of backswing, feel like you keep your back to the target, and can you get your belt buckle to point out in front of you? So now you're kind of training that sequence of getting the lower body to go while the upper body waits just a moment as we're moving into the downswing. So once we're there, and that's going to allow us there. That separation is allowing us to get the stretch. Now I feel the match stretch halfway through. So let's just say halfway through downswing. Pretty general, but we're just not getting it at the very top. We want to be nice and relaxed here, then get that stretch in downswing, and that's essentially what we're working towards with that pattern there. And you can see how that when we do that as well, no longer is that lead arm flying too far in front of us. Okay, and we're feeling like we're nicely matched up and we can move through everything together. Okay, so lead arm move shifting out. First of all, we want to get to the top of backswing and not feel like we're too stretched across that lead shoulder. Then to accomplish that, you got to look at the rotation of the body and matching the arms up in backswing. And then third of all, if you need the cleanup, work on then improving the sequencing in the transition phase. So there's a little step-by-step process you go to if you feel like that pattern that we mentioned in the start is you.